Movie story stranger than fiction. The story of the film begins with a person named James, who is out with his mother, and then his sister, Clara, comes after them, telling them that they should not do this thing and that they should think about the matter again, but James tells her that they have no other choice. After that, he drives his mother to her place of work, and then goes to visit his father, who was in the hospital as a result of a very serious accident. His father asks him how he will pay the hospital bills and surgeries he has had. He tells him that he mortgaged the house with his mother's agreement. His father blames him for this because he spent his life working to buy this house for them, but he tells his father that they had no other choice to save him. After that, he is discharged from the hospital to go to work. He used to work as an electrician, and he had electrical work in someone's house. After that, mail arrives at the owner of the house, and he goes out to take the mail, and there was a policeman watching this man from afar while he was photographing him. After that, the man enters the house, and he tells his wife that the thing he was waiting for has arrived, and he tells her that this time he will go, and if he returns, he will bring with him a lot of money. He was hiding an envelope behind his back that he hadn't shown to his wife, but James noticed. While leaving the house after he completed his work, he was also photographed by the policemen who were watching the place. He then goes home and there was a birthday party for his little sister, and she was talking about her wish, and she wanted a small white sheep with black ears. Jimmy promises that he will bring her this lamb. Then we see a person named Jasper, who used to work as a bookmaker. He is going to borrow money from a person of $2 million to bet with this money. The man asks him to return $3 million to him after 3 days. He told him that they had agreed that he would return the sum of $2.5 million. But even so, he took the money. We return again to James, who goes to the hospital where his father is in order to meet the doctor. She tells him that his father needs another surgery. When he asked her about the cost of this surgery, she told him that it was the same cost as the previous surgery. He gets a little sad because he doesn't know how to act. After that, he goes to work. There, he watches the homeowner sitting with a friend, and he hears him asking him to take care of the house because he will do one of the tasks he used to do before. He tells him that this time he will return with more money. He also tells him that he will only be traveling for 1 day. After this man came out, a picture was taken of him as well. After that, he prints a sheet of paper and puts it in the envelope that he reached earlier. After that, we watch him inject himself with drugs. After a short while, we see his wife opening the envelope in which the paper is located and reading it. Then she puts the envelope back in its place. After that, she goes to check on her husband, but she is surprised when she finds him dead after he took a large dose of drugs. After a while, the police arrive at the place in order to take the body to the hospital, and they also interrogate the people in the house. When they questioned James and found that he had nothing to do with it, they let him go. While he is leaving, he decides to take advantage of the situation, and he enters the office and takes the envelope. Then he gets out and gets in the car. Then he goes to the post office after he reads the envelope. He finds he has an envelope for him. He receives the envelope, and when he opens the envelope, he finds inside it $500, a key, and a phone. We return to the wife of the person who died. The policemen tell her about the envelope, but they haven't found it yet. She also tells them that she does not know where the envelope is. Then they go to the post office and they see James receiving the package. Then they contact the officer in charge of the matter and report what they discovered. As for James, he goes to buy himself a new suit. He told his family that he was going to New York because he got a job there, but the police were watching him. He goes to New York and books a hotel room. In the middle of the night, someone called him to tell him that he had to go to some address. He went to the address and found an envelope containing a train ticket and a tag with the number 13. Then he gets on the train and he executes the information. Policemen were watching him. They also sent him a ticket inspector to see where his ticket was going, but he got off at a station before the one the ticket is heading for. He goes down to the station and the policeman couldn't catch up with him, so they send someone to chase him. He gets into a taxi and reaches somewhere. One of the gangsters was waiting there for him. Then he shows him sign number 13 to make sure of him. Then he searches him, and after that he takes him with him in the car. After that the policemen arrive with the driver who drove James to the place. Then they ask him where he went. The driver tells them that he does not know, so the officer gives him his phone number, and he tells him that if he saw him again, he should call him. James and the man reach a place in the woods. There he is fully searched to make sure he doesn't have anything with him. After that, he is transferred to a large mansion to meet with the gang's senior men. When he arrived, the old man saw him, and he knew that he was not the same person. We move to Jasper, who is carrying money with him to bet with. As for James, he tells them that the man they were waiting for died of a drug overdose and that he came to be his replacement. They suspected him and they thought he was one of the policemen, but they had no other solution because people bet on him and they paid the money. And if they withdraw, it will put them in danger. After that, we see the head of the competition has come to check on what is going on. They told him everything is under control. After that, they prepare James and give him a t-shirt with number 13 on it. Then they take him out to the ring, along with the rest of the contestants. The contest is that they will stand in a circle and each person has a gun with 1 bullet in it. And when the signal goes off, the contestant must shoot the person in front of him until there are a few of them left. James was terrified of this and regretted having come to this place. The referee asks the contestants to prepare. Then he gives everyone a pistol. After the signal was triggered, each contestant pulled the trigger of the pistol. There were contestants who died and there were those who survived. James was afraid of pulling the trigger. The referee warns him that if he does not press the trigger, he will be killed. He pulls the trigger, but the person in front of him is not dead. Thus ends the first round of the competition. After that, we see another contestant asking the guard who is watching him to smuggle him out of the place, and in return he will give him a lot of money. But the guard tells him that if you have the money, why did you come to this place in the first place? He tells him that he didn't come from himself, but that he was a prisoner in Mexico because he and a friend robbed a bank and they hid the money. And he tells him that he was surprised when the prison warden took him out of the cell and put him in a box and sent him to this place. But the guard refuses to offer him help. We watch Jasper collect bets on his own player, number 6. We go back in time when Jasper smuggled his racer out of a psychiatric hospital. This person's name is Ronald, and he is originally Jasper's brother. We go back again to the competition, which will start its second round. The contestants started getting ready and they stood again in a circle and everyone had a pistol. When they saw the signal, they shot each other. And for the second time, James is not dead, but the person behind him is dead. The referee told him that the person behind him was about to kill him, but fortunately he was killed before he pulled the trigger. One of the contestants could not stand the stress and collapsed and screamed. The men who brought him to the contest tried to calm him down. As for the Mexican contestant, he is trying to agree with the guard, telling him that he will give him a map of the location of the money he stole, and that if he dies, he wants him to go to his son and give him the map. The people in charge of the competition were busy transporting the corpses. Jasper, on the other hand, tries to convince people to bet on the number 6 and collects money from them. Ronald then throws James with an ashtray on the head and provokes him. After that, the Mexican contestant tells the guard about the location of the map in his pocket. Then we move on to the penultimate round of the competition and the contestants meet. As for the person who collapsed psychologically, they gave him an injection of drugs in order to participate in the competition. One of the contestants could not stand on his feet, so they brought a chair for him to sit on. They prepare and when the signal goes off they shoot each other. Fortunately, James did not die this time, nor did Ronald and the Mexican contestant. There are only 5 contestants left in the competition. After that they brought 5 small balls. They asked the owners of the contestants to choose one of the balls, and that the person who chooses a white ball, this means that his contestant is out of the competition after he takes his share of the profits. As for the person who chooses a black ball, his contestant will complete the contest and either die or survive. They choose the balls and we find out that James and Ronald are the ones left in the competition. After that, the guard goes to the Mexican contestant, and he was trying to kill him in order to take the map from him, but fortunately, another guard entered and saved the Mexican contestant, who went to receive his share of the profits in the competition. We watch James, who is shocked because he cannot believe what is happening to him. Jasper and Ronald were sitting behind him, and they were trying to agree on their shares of the prize, but they disagreed, so Ronald insulted his brother and told him that their parents had left them a lot of money, but because of him, they lost the money, and he told him that he had admitted him to the hospital in order to get the money on his own. James was listening. After that, the last round begins, and they give each contestant a pistol. This time they put 3 bullets into the pistol. The contestants point pistols at each other. When the signal starts, they press the pistol trigger, but the bullets did not come out this time. Then they repeat this again, but this time they put a 4th bullet. This time James kills Ronald and wins the contest. Jasper was angry and crying, but he was not angry because his brother died, but rather because he lost money. James then goes to receive his share of the prize. James' net worth was $2 million. After that, He goes to the people who brought him to the competition, and they congratulate him on winning, and they offer him to deliver him, and he agrees. But he told them he would bring some of his stuff before that. But he was aware that they wanted to get rid of him so that they could take the money. So he runs away. The next day, he arrives at the train station to return home, but unfortunately the taxi driver saw him and called the officer, who told him that he had seen him. After that, the police arrives, and when he sees them, he tries to escape, but he fails, so he decides to hide the bag that contains the money in a trash container. After that, the police arrest him. The officer asks him where the money is, but he tells him he doesn't know what he's talking about. As a result of the pressure on him, he told them that he had already gone with them to the forest, but when they saw him, they knew that he was not the man they were waiting for, so they suspected him and he decided to flee from them. The officer had no evidence against him, so he let him go. He returns to the train station and tries to find the money he put in the waste container, but he doesn't find the money, but fortunately he glimpses trash bags and finds the money in them. He decided to put the money in a safe place in anticipation of anything that might happen. He went to the post office and took a carton box and he put the money in it and sent it to his mother, and he called her and told her to receive the package. Then he goes to buy food for him. There he watches a sheep doll and buys it from the shop owner for $100, even though it is not for sale. He then goes to the train station, but unfortunately Jaspers was there and saw him, so he goes after him. He wanted to steal money from him to make up for his loss. Indeed, he went and sat in front of him, and when the train stopped, he shot James and took the bag from him and ran away. But when Jaspers opened the bag, he found in it a doll of a sheep. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to watch more videos like this.